Texas Congressman Pat Fallon joining me now to discuss the convoy and this move in D.C. by the liberal elite to once again fence off our house and have our brave troops standing out there guard because they're so worried about these peaceful truckers coming to do something, I guess, Pat. What do you make of all this?
Well, Danny B., great to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you.
Love the monologue. You're spot on, as always.
Thanks, sir.
You know what, Dan, this is a peaceful protest of great Americans that just want to be, exercise their First Amendment right. And of course, liberals, when you don't agree with them, you're dabbling in misinformation or we better build walls. I thought the mantra, remember when we talked about the wall at the border? Liberals would say, we need to build bridges, not walls. Yeah. Well, why don't they build more bridges for the truckers then? Because walls work. And liberals only recognize they work when they feel threatened. We wasted, not we, but really Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on unneeded security after January 6th. I mean, Dan, they shut down government one day because they were worried about QAnon protesters. There was no one that showed up, literally 0 people. They're living in a fantasy land.
I remember that, yeah, because there was that other date after, I don't know what the date was, that QAnon had out there that something would change with the election after January 6th. And so, yeah, they geared all up. I remember that. And the hypocritical rhetoric, you're right, about walls, fences, gates, whatever you want to call them, not working, is on display now for not just our country, but for the globe to witness. Look what American leftist leaders do when their people want to come to their house and have their voices heard in the public square. And I mean the truckers, and I'm sure there'll be thousands more Americans joining them. Look what the American leftists do. They put up a wall. But we can't secure our own southern frickin' border.
I mean, it's hypocrisy at its finest. It's ridiculous.
What do you think is going to happen to these truckers? I mean, look what Canada's doing to theirs. They're going after people that... I saw the stormtroopers up there going into businesses that gave them coffee. They're now getting a hold of people that donated money that never even showed up in Ottawa, and they're freezing bank accounts because they gave them $5. I mean, this is scary stuff. Is that going to come down here, Pat?
Well, Trudeau has shown the world that he's a tyrant.
Yes.
He's I mean, emergency powers for what? And he's keeping them in place. And yeah, I mean that we have to be very cognizant. Ronald Reagan said, freedom is, and tyranny is never more than a generation away, yep. Right? I mean, this is the case. We need, if you want a functioning, thriving republic, you need an active and engaged citizenry. And we need to make sure that we back these truckers in their peaceful protests. I mean, look at Kamala Harris was bailing out violent protesters as long as they agreed with her. They were BLM and Antifa protesters. Yep, and yet they have some January 6 protesters still languishing in jail. That's not equal justice. And that's all we're after here is just justice.
Right. You know what really, really chaps my behind, though, too, is the whole guard thing. We see how horrible they were treated last year when they were called in after the 6th, okay, after they showed up, because for some reason, and this is what I want to get to the bottom of, and hopefully, Pat, if Republicans take back control, we can actually get a real investigation, because I'd like to know, since the Trump administration asked for the Guard to be there just in case after that ellipse whole movement, about the election on January 6th, why didn't they show up? But then they could show up right after, thanks to Nancy and Bowser, and stay there for months, again, where there were reports of them sleeping in the place you guys park your cars, on freezing concrete, eating rotten food, being mistreated. And we kept them there for months. And now we're going to get them for the truckers like this. Why didn't they show up on January 6th? Can we ever find that out? I hope so.
Dan, I think we will when we have more Republicans in the House than Democrats.
Right.
And, I was walking into to work that day on January 6th, and I noticed how light the security was, and it really piqued my interest, and I questioned why. We'll find out when we can, question the Sergeant at Arms and Pelosi's regime.
Yeah, it's called It Was Planned. Anywho, I don't like being a conspiracy theorist. I like the facts. That's why I want it investigated. So when you guys find out the truth, which is I think it was planned, I can go, aha, there's the facts. Finally, I know something you wanted to touch on real quick, because this goes back to we can't secure our southern border, yet we're allowing these millions of illegals to come in. We allowed tens of thousands with the debacle in Afghanistan to come in. And now this watchdog group, I think we have the headline, finds out that the administration has not been vetting. And you and I being veterans, we'd like to know this. All Americans should know this. They have not been vetting barely any Now, this report just says dozens, but I've heard hundreds, if not thousands, of Afghan immigrants have come in, a lot of them male, and have not been vetted. What's going on here? I mean, you could have terrorists mixed in with tens of thousands.
We were told when we got our briefings as members of Congress that they were going to have a robust 3-dimensional vetting process. Yeah, right. And then thousands of people came to this country from Afghanistan we didn't know. Now, there's a difference. There's evacuees, people that we knew that risked their lives for freedom and our cause and American interests. We needed to take them out. But there were thousands of others. We didn't even know who they were. And I asked General Milley, I asked Secretary Austin in an Armed Services Committee hearing if they could guarantee the American people that none of those folks that escaped from Bagram, those 5,000 scumbag prisoners that we held, came to the United States. Can you guarantee the American people that? And they couldn't. They couldn't even guarantee that some of those 5,000 weren't part of the plot that killed 13 American heroes. This is what you get when you hire liberal ideologues to run your country.
Well, I know we're not supposed to do the I told you so's and everything else, but I'll tell you, for the last 13 months now, folks, if you voted for this regime, I really hope you got buyer's remorse, because what's happening to our country literally on every front, from immigration to foreign policy to our economy, is going down the tubes under this man's rule, and it's not even been a year and a half yet. I don't know how much more we can take of this. Pat Fallon, representing Texas 4th. Thanks for coming on, Pat. Thank you for your service. Keep telling the truth.
Thanks, Dan. God bless.
Take care. Yep, God bless you.